second stream showcasing a recipe from my grandma. So the first one I showcased was chicken paprikash and spetzels a few weeks ago. And that was savory.
Very, very tasty.
One of my favorite dishes. But then this is probably one of my, I would say it's my favorite pastry she made.
Yep.
And it's the one I've made the most too. So I think I'll be really nervous some of the future streams that I try things I've not tried before. Now I have not made this in a few years because I would make this, it's Apricot Crisscross. And I would make it, I don't know how long ago, I started making it for our family reunions. And so we would have a family reunion every other year. So what was nice is it kept me consistent on making it. But then the pandemic happened, and so it's been a little while.
Well, there's no family reunion.
Right.
Yeah,
so
you weren't doing it otherwise. So
Right. So in any event, one thing that is nice about this recipe, and in fact, I'll be doing it later today, is once you make this, you can freeze it, which makes it nice. So, and that's what I'm going to be doing today, is later I'll pop it in the freezer because in a few weeks, my sister and I are going down to visit my folks, and I'm going to bring some apricot crisscross. So that's one of the reasons I chose to make it this weekend, so that I could bring some down during our visit for my mom and dad. So
do folks know that? Oh, I guess they
know now. So please say hello if you join us. We do like to know, and we love to chat with anyone that joins our stream. But yes, so mom and dad, this will be coming down. As long as I don't forget it, because I do things like that.
Yeah, typically forget things.
So hopefully that won't happen. But we'll have a little bit today, because you can't make this, and with the smells, you can't like not have some. But yes, so most of it will freeze and bring down.
It's really great when it's warm.
Oh, it's so delicious. Absolutely. So I'm going to wash my hands. So this is a pastry, and I put the recipe down below. And for the most part, I copied it exactly as it was on the recipe card. There was I think a couple words I might have added just to clarify things. So, but mostly it is pretty much how it was written. And I remember the first time I read this, because one thing that stuck out to me was, in fact, I'm just going to read you the recipe, because when I listed it below, I did what traditionally we do, which is list the ingredients and then list the process. But with this one in particular, it kind of did ingredients and process at the same time. So I'm just going to read it. So it's 2.5 cups all-purpose flour, 1/4 cup granulated sugar, 1 teaspoon baking powder, 1/8 teaspoon salt. Blend in 1/2 pound butter as for pie. And I remember when I read that part was when I almost thought, I don't know if I can make this, because what does that mean? Because I don't even know that I've made a pie. I don't remember. Maybe I had. I don't remember, because it's been a while since I've been making this for years. But you know, for someone, if you're a novice cook, that might kind of stop you. So basically, when you are talking about as for pie, because I've made, besides making pie crusts, I've also made scones and biscuits, and a lot of these doughs that you make where you want them to be flaky, is you want to make sure your butter is cold, and you want to make sure you don't warm it a lot while you're working it. And so, in fact, I'm going to take this. So I cut it ahead of time, and this is one of my hacks. I cut it ahead of time into little pieces, and then I just pop it in for, I don't know, like 5-10 minutes in the freezer, just to make sure that it's super cold. And that way, it helps that it's not warming up.
It's all butter?
That's all butter. Here. You can see it's just in a bunch of different cubes. So it's 2 sticks of butter, which is 1/2 pound, and cut up into pieces. So that's how it reads. And I use a blender. So I'm positive the first time I made it, I think I used this, which is, it's a great, and I've used this before for other things. It's kind of a pastry cutter. It kind of cuts the butter in, and it gives you a good workout. So it's great for the arms. But I forget the first time I tried using a kitchen.
You mean a mixer, not a blender, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Kind of interchangeable for me, but that's okay. Are you correcting me?
I am.
I think you're correcting me. Do you think he's correcting me? I think he is. Anyway, we're more chill than that here, right? Like, we're not going to get into the, the specifics. But the KitchenAid, so, or whatever mixer you may have. But the first time I did that was a game changer, because it came out, and I think it was actually a scone that I'd made. It came out so well, and I thought, oh, like that's my takeaway. So that's what I'm using today. But after you cut it in for pie, then you add 3 egg yolks, a 1/2 cup sour cream, and a 1/2 teaspoon vanilla, and you mix well. Then we'll be dividing the dough in half. We will roll out half of it to put into a 9 by 11 pie. But if you, I mean, general, like this is not, what I like about the recipe is it's not super fussy. So one of the things in trying to be exact for anyone that was going to do this recipe, I all of a sudden realized, like, well, what is my pan? What exactly are those measurements? And then I know there's sometimes some slight differences in rectangular pans. If your pan is a little bit smaller, I don't think it's probably going to be that much bigger, but if it's a little bit smaller, don't stress about that. You might just have a little bit thicker dough. Maybe you have to cook it just a little bit longer, but generally, and as you can see here, I'll show that. This will make it a little bit more of a pain when I put it in, but what I am doing, especially for today purposes, but it helps you on the back end, is I put parchment paper down, because sometimes what happens when you're trying to get it out and you're trying to cut it really pretty to take somewhere, it's those middle pieces that are harder getting out. So with parchment paper, and I found my way, I'd divide in 4 and I'd get like a quarter out at a time, but parchment paper makes it so much easier. And since we're gonna be getting it out warm, it's really important to have the parchment paper, because we're really not supposed to get it out. And actually I will say, and I know I'm being really wordy and we're gonna get started in just a second, but traditionally we have some dough left over. And when I tell you how yummy this is, I do not throw away anything. So even if I have some leftover dough, some scraps that I don't want to work again, because you'll be putting strips across, I take that and I make a little family apricot crisscross. Remember, yeah. I always do that. Yep. And it doesn't have to look pretty, but I do the basic thing.
Still tastes good.
And then we still eat it, because why would you waste it? It's so yummy. It's really, really yummy. So we're going to get started. I'm not going to use this. I'm going to put things in the KitchenAid. And I did some prep ahead of time to make it a little bit easier today. So let me take this out so I can get my ingredients in. So I'm gonna start with putting in my flour, my sugar, and my baking powder and my salt. And then I will put in the butter so it can start doing its thing. Bring this over. So I just put my flour on a piece of wax paper. Just leave it there, it's fine. To make it easier, we might need that. So, and then I've got already measured, I have a 1/4 cup granulated sugar, and I'm going to put in, it is an 1/8 teaspoon salt. A lot of times we don't have those. My measurements I actually have it, which is nice. So get that in. And then I already have measured out my teaspoon of baking powder. So I'll put that in. And so I have flour, sugar, baking powder, salt. That's all she wrote. Let me get this just blended. Actually, you know what I like to do, to be honest, when I'm mixing some stuff with flour initially, I actually like, and I think it was on a cooking show I saw, I like to actually mix with a whisk a little. It just quickly gets everything incorporated and spread out. So, and it also kind of breaks up the flour too, which is nice. And I will tell you, my baking powder I felt like a little clumpy for my liking. So, and then what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna dump, and it's probably not going to dump super well. So let me use this to work it out. I'm just going to dump this butter in. I'm going to put the attachment on, and I'm just going to let it start doing its job. Because then what's going to happen is it's going to start working that butter up so that it looks kind of like, I don't know, what do they always call it? Like, not oatmeal, but similar. Like it just looks more like dirt or soil. There's something. Tell me if you bake, what do they call it? They call it something. Oh, and I have it turned the other way, so I'm gonna have to do this. Oh, shit. There we go. So obviously you can see I poofed the flour, and I know it was my first naughty word. Wow, you got to experience my first naughty word on my stream. Luckily, it was a little under breath.
That's the first naughty word I've ever heard you say.
It is ever, right?
Ever.
It kind of
in the last 5 minutes.
You know, when you have flour and ingredients and it just kind of poofs up, you can get a flour facial, which is not something you desired. So all it is doing now, and I will show, I'll bring it over to the camera to show like the consistency, is it's just breaking it up right now. and it's breaking that butter into smaller pieces. And what's nice is that I'm not putting my warm hands in there, so it's doing it without, you know, getting warmed up, which is going to make for a flakier crust. Now I'm going to try to see if I can get a little bit bigger. Okay. There you go.
Is this the language police coming to apprehend you for saying a naughty word on your stream?
No, I confess, yes. I've been so good too lately.
Who cares?
I know. It just was funny because I kind of had a little streak going, you know, until that happened. So basically, how would you describe what it's looking like? And I'll show you all in the camera. How would you describe what it's looking like? Because the butter is incorporated into the flour.
Like butter that's all chopped up and it's covered with flour.
Yeah, but it looks sandy. That's the consistency. It almost looks like wet sand. Because you know how wet sand has little, I know, I'm just ignoring him. I mean, really, so. But it gets almost like that wet sand look to it. If you ever are on the beach,
it does.
It just has a little more texture to it, and it's almost there. So while that's doing that, I think I'm gonna, I bet you Matt would love this job because now I have to take some yolks out of the eggs. You probably would love that, wouldn't you?
Uh-huh.
And I'm not gonna let you do that actually because I need this all to work out. And now watch, I'm gonna mess it up. But at least I'm a little more experienced at getting yolks out. And this is almost done, so I'm going to, I'll let it go a little longer. All right, so I'm just gonna remove the whites, and I do not like to waste anything, so I'm gonna actually put these, oh no, I got this, perfect. I can put them in here. Because I don't wanna waste anything, like I'll find things to do with those whites. By the way.
Oh, I eat egg whites.
You do eat egg whites.
I just use those.
But you know what another fun thing is to do with egg whites? Is to make meringues.
Oh yeah.
That's the best. And it's nice because it's a gluten-free cookie. So I think it's about done, and I'm going to show you guys what it looks like. Oops, no, I just did that. Okay. So I'm going to take this out so you can see. You get a spoon. All right. So if you take a look, can you see the mixture, Matt?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it almost looks like wet sand. And what has happened is that butter has gotten all broken up, and there's a little piece there. That butter's gotten all broken up and without any real warmth being added. So that's
Remember when you were tapping, by the way, you were like right on top.
Oh, sorry for that loud sound. I just maxed out my mic. Things I never knew existed.
Like a ball peen hammer on the eardrum.
Things I never knew existed until I began streaming.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so I'm going to get these eggs separated. I'm going to put the whites here.
You know, I don't know if it really looks wet though. It's really not wet. It's just kind of
I think actually
clumpy
though,
sand.
Correct, but I think because of the texture thing, that's what it's usually.
So what you're doing here? So
I'm taking the yolk off.
So you just
go
back and forth until you get all of the egg
or
whites.
you can get one of those egg yolk separators. Right. But I actually find that the shell does a great job until it doesn't.
This looks incredibly stressful.
The first time it is.
Pretty good.
Okay, that's 2.
So why no egg whites? Is it just that's just what the recipe calls for?
Yeah, because it's a richer dough. Yes.
Is that why?
I just want to poke it.
No. Okay.
Kind of.
All right. They're kind of being a pain today, aren't they? Oh, this one's going to be a pain. I can just tell. And by the way, no poking unless you have impeccably clean hands, because
It looks like it's going to suck out the yolk.
I know. It's kind of cool. It's actually when you do it. I remember being fascinated about like this egg.
That is stubborn.
The white is really clinging on for all dear life. It does not want to.
There you go.
There we go. But eventually it goes. Maddie, would you just open up the trash can there?
Well done.
There we go. So why don't you put the egg whites just in the fridge?
See?
Yeah, just so they don't.
Saran wrap with them?
I probably won't keep it in that, so just put it in the fridge right now. All right, so we have our 3 egg yolks. And if I check out the directions for the pastry, what we're going to be doing now is we are going to be adding egg 3 yolks to the dough, as well as a 1/2 cup sour cream and a 1/2 teaspoon vanilla, and that's going to get mixed well. So, I forgot to mention, one thing that's important to note is that if you are making homemade filling, you would be doing that first. So a quick little story. The first time I made this, I believe I did the homemade filling, and I included that recipe below, and that's what my grandma used to do. And it's super simple. It's dried apricots, water, and sugar. And what you do is you cut up 6 ounces of dried apricots, and when you get just a little pot, put them in, cover it with water, which that made me totally uncomfortable because I was like, well, how much water is that? You just put enough water to cover, and it works. And then you're going to cook those for half an hour, and then you're going to add 2 cups or 1 cup sugar after it's cooked for half hour, and you're going to cook for an additional half hour, and then you can let that cool, and then it's ready. You're essentially making jam. But I did that once, and it was great. But then I kind of thought, I think I'm just going to buy jam because I didn't. So here's the deal. Like, I think I always want to be real with you. I would hate for any recipes for cooks not to approach them because they're overwhelmed with all the different parts.
Right.
And so if we can make shortcuts for things, like let's make shortcuts. So the one I like is Smucker's, but there's a lot of great jams and preserves out there. I just got my favorite apricot one.
So it's apricot preserves, right?
Apricot preserves, absolutely. So I'm
So
going to
do you know where the
Go ahead.
apricot originated?
I do not know. Can I make a guess?
Yes.
Apricots. It seems like, I don't feel like it was in America. I feel like it was maybe in Middle East or India. Like, I feel like it'd be over there
Pretty good
somewhere.
guess.
Ooh.
Originated in Armenia.
Oh, but now I will just tell you my geography is failing me.
And then
where is I can't remember where Armenia is.
they have also been grown for thousands of years in parts of China.
Oh, okay. Where's
But now,
Armenia?
and
Armenia's
currently-
in Europe?
I'm not sure exactly where.
Well, you're giving me information
I'll
and it's
tell you
not
exactly
quite
where it
complete.
And then the commercial apricots now are really in Central Valley of California. So,
Ooh, they are
and Southern
California.
Australia. So
Interesting.
probably California mostly.
So I'm looking, by the way, for my half cup measure. There we go, so I can get the sour cream. All right, so we have half cup of sour cream. Do not use light. Whenever you're doing baking, that's a time that, I feel like people that make light recipes, they do a lot of research and science, making sure that the final product is okay if you're using a light product. But with something like this, I wouldn't just use light sour cream. And I use light sour cream for other things because I'd be afraid that it might affect, something in the ingredients might affect it. Can you put that in the fridge, actually? That would be awesome.
So
all right, so I've got my half cup sour cream. Oh, you found it?
Yep. There's in between Asia and
Ooh.
Europe kind of.
And actually, it's just to the east of Saudi Arabia, right? Would that be? And so I'm kind of in the right area. So how about that? All right, we're also going to need a half teaspoon vanilla, and I've got my vanilla paste. So this vanilla paste, by the way, was something that I had seen. I don't remember where. I saw something about it being on sale, and I got it for myself, my nieces. I feel like I bought a bunch. I don't remember who I gave it to. And then one of my nieces made some banana bread, and she said it was the best banana bread she's had.
Used it.
So I've never used it in this. So it's and basically it's a vanilla bean paste, which means it kind of has like all the essence and has the little seeds. Because I think I used it when we made those Guinness brownies earlier.
Yeah.
So this is very yummy. All right, so I just put that in there so I can plop these in. So for me, I'm gonna like to. I don't really want to just plop it all in. I'm not saying you can't. I'm just not going to. So I'm going to kind of put it in a little gradually. I'll get these egg yolks in first. That vanilla. 1, 2, 3.
Now it looks like wet sand.
And then I'm going to get this sour cream in. I feel like I just have such great memories of when the mixer would come out when I was little, because that always meant something really yummy was being made, and maybe there was, a beater that I could lick later. But this is making a dough, so this isn't really going to be making what you would be wanting to lick the beater for, but it will be good.
Did you grandmother used a KitchenAid
No.
heater?
No, I'm pretty sure she did all this by hand. I'm sure she used a mixer at times, but
Could not have been easy doing that by hand.
no. But you know what? That's kind of, okay, so once it comes together, and I'll kind of, this is super heavy, but
Let me do it.
no, can you see a little bit? Yeah, it kind of comes together, and you'll see when I lift this up. Once it comes together, and it makes a dough. So I need to clear this off now. Remove some of these things over here. All right. Also, I'm going to actually be adding, but not yet. I'm going to be soon doing my little, So one of our vital tools just bit the dust. So can you bring me that? And let me see if I can put it.
I'll see if I can.
No, I would like to see if I can. I'm going to be anxious if I can't. So I need to be a part of this. So this is it's fine because I'll just keep going. So this is my pastry cutter. Now you don't have to use, because at one point we're going to be, trimming edges, and we're going to be making crisscross, which is hence the name Apricot Crisscross. And this makes it look super fluted and pretty, but you don't have to do that. You could always, in fact, the first one I will use just to get the edges for the bottom layer that's going into the pan. I'm just going to use a pizza cutter. So if you don't have, one of these with the, I'll show it here actually. Let me get this because it's about time let me move this here. Nope. I knew. There we go. Okay. So, and I'm going to move this down a little bit because I want you guys to be able to see this. So see how it has the fluted edges there? So that just makes it look really, really pretty once you are dividing, or not dividing, you're cutting the strips. No.
Well, I should wash it. It was on the floor.
Oh, thank you. You should. I'm glad one of us is thinking. Meanwhile, I'm going to get the dough and put it, and before I get the dough and put it on this great wooden board. This is the one I talked about in, I think, the Apricot stream. And this one, but I got some information from my parents, so I was saying some incorrect information, and that should be dried really well, by the way.
I will.
So I thought I gotten this directly from my grandma because my memory is terrible. But it actually was from my mom. So sorry, Mom, about that. She got it from my grandma, and then she gave it to me just because I baked more, and everything. So I got this, and I also got my grandma's rolling pin, which is super exciting. So every year at Christmas when I make cookies, I use this, and I use the rolling pin, and I think of her. And I also, of course, think of her when I'm making Apricot Crisscross. So the first thing I want to do, since I'm going to be rolling out the dough, is I want to just get a little bit of flour onto my board. So I'm just going to make it snow so I can roll it out. And I'm keeping that handy because we'll be needing more. And I want to get this off. So 1 second, I'll be over there in just a minute. It's a stiff dough, which is what you want because you want to be able to, roll it out. But I just want to get all this good stuff off and bring it over with me. So I'm just getting the dough off the hook. There we go. And that'll do it. All right, so now I'm going to just leave that there. I'm going to use my hands because
How the dough taste?
it won't taste bad. It just isn't it's not like cake batter. Okay, and this dough is doing great. It actually has a great consistency. Turn that over. Okay, so it's been probably 4 years since I last made it. So it's actually, what's nice feeling it is it's easier to work with than I recall. So now I'm going to divide in half because half of it is going to go at the bottom and then half of it is going to go across as strips. So I'm going to so what my main objective now is to roll it out into a rectangle and put it into the pan. So let me just get this. Okay, let me get some dough on my rolling pin. It's a great rolling pin because it has just this wonderfully smooth texture on it.
Chases me around the condo with it sometimes.
Yeah. So you always have to watch and make sure you're behaving right, Miss.
That's right.
I almost did it again. Yep, I did not.
Impressive.
Maybe I'm learning. So I just don't want it to stick. I don't want to add a bunch of flour to this, but I just don't want it to stick. And right now I can see like some of the little butter pieces in it, which is great because that's what's going to help make it nice and flaky. But what I love is that the egg yolks and the sour cream, they really make it rich. Like there's a nice richness to it. Like not too rich, it's just like perfect rich. All right. And so you can see that this, of course, you know, I don't know if there's any pastry chefs, I'm sure there are, that can just roll it out perfectly into a perfect rectangle. I am not one of those. But you can tell that we're gonna have some definite stuff to cut off. And that's, it just, I think even the first time I made it, I just couldn't bring myself to throw away any of this. It's kind of like if you're making this dough, like why would you not just figure out another purpose? Even if you wanted to make little cookies out of it, you know? So I can see this one is like a little, all right, so.
It rolls out pretty when you bring it over.
Yeah, I'm just trying to get the size.
It does roll out pretty easy.
Okay, so I need to make it broader. Okay, and the other thing I will tell you is that, and I'm recalling this now from the last time I made it, is that you can literally, with this bottom layer, oopsie, you can cut it, and then you can also place one of those pieces and kind of mend it so that, you know, if you have an opening that needs a little more dough, you can just cut and shift it. So I think that's, I feel like that's, just do a little more. We're almost there. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this to make it more manageable. You're going to put the pan down there.
Here.
Can you have it go the other way? Yep, perfect. And then I'm just going to put this in the middle. And it's okay if there's a little lip. Let me see.
Came out pretty good.
Okay. Okay, so you can see how like this is so you can see how like this is all bigger here, so I want to cut some of that down. And actually I'm going to need a knife. No,
Okay.
I'm going to use this knife. This is my knife I used to measure the flour. So I'm just going to keep a little lip. And again, this is why I was mentioning, I think when we were doing the Papa Crush stream, is when you make this before you put it in the oven, you might worry or think that, oh, it doesn't look as perfect as, which we shouldn't be worrying about perfect, but I don't think it looks as perfect as I want it to be, or, you know, whatever complaints you might have. The thing is this, once it bakes, everything kind of melds together, and I'm telling you, like it really works out. I'm just gonna put a little bit of water there to make sure it does adhere where I'm pushing that dough together. So there's a little corner that was a little empty. So all I'm doing, and I'll show you once I get this done, is I'm just going and I'm replacing some areas that needed some dough with some dough. So you can see this was extra stuff. And I'm just removing it so that it makes a perfect rectangle. And it's not about being perfect, but it's about that way it covers the bottom. Now over here it's a little scarce, and I'm worried that the jam is just gonna burn and ooze there. So I'm gonna put a little water and put a little dough so that that doesn't happen. Yeah, I forgot, you know, this is actually a great, this is a great realization, is I forgot how forgiving it was. It really is a easy to work with dough. So if, you know, especially once we make the crisscross, please know that like this is not, I've worked with doughs that are really tricky to work with, and they're fussy and they, can you dry that, because we will need that. But this dough is very easy. I knew that was going to happen, actually. Didn't you? I know you knew that was going to happen, didn't you? Yep. We'll talk about that later. I'm known for having things on precarious edges, and both my husband and my son will be like, Mom, like they're worried that, and then things do launch. Okay, so this is what happened. So basically it's a rectangle, and my paper just made it all move, but that's okay, we can move it back. And so I've got a rectangle of dough here on the bottom. Okay, so then the next thing we're gonna do, I'm gonna put this extra dough just over here for right now. That's what we can make that last cookie to go into the oven. So on the bottom of this is, and I could use your help with opening up our preserves. Thank you, thank you. On the bottom of this, we are going to, you can hold that, I'm gonna spread preserves. So can you, no, it's okay, because I need to find something. No, I need this. I got it. I need this, nope, it's not there. I should have gotten this out sooner. A spreader. No spoon. All right. No, we're good. Okay, so we are going to now put the preserves and spread it across. Now preserves can kind of get a little bit locked up, so you want to kind of, when you're putting it out, working it a little bit so it's going to spread more easily. And you don't, so this is, you're not gonna like this. So you don't want too much, but you don't want too little. So what I do is I start with some, and then I spread it around, and actually, that's not my offset, so I'm gonna just use this. Can you get me one more spoon? Because I don't want to put this back in the jam jar, because I've been using it on here.
Kind of a tablespoon?
Yeah, another big one. So I'm just spreading it out. You can see what I'm doing here. And I don't want it too thick, so I'm gonna need to get some more out. But you want it edge to edge, for sure. As they say in the kitchen, edge to edge, crust to crust. You don't want anything to miss out on the goodness of the apricot. But you don't want it to be swimming in it, if that makes sense. So,
nice layer.
Yeah, so I'm just getting it there. Oh, and by the way, if you end up making the filling on your own, like my grandma did, just make sure you do cut those apricots well, because like right now I see is a big old piece of apricot, and not that there's anything wrong with that, but it just makes it harder for the dough to kind of lay on it. Like it'll be a great piece that someone will get, but yeah, so I tried to make sure I chop them really well so that they would make it easier spreading on the pastry. All right. Now over on this side here, I'll show you when I turn it back around. I actually wish I had left a little bit more of a lip, because I think that is going to pour out, and that's going to get a little bit, not burned, bad burned, but just a little bit burned. I think this is about right. I think this is about, so if you see any dark areas in the camera, that's just a big piece of apricot. So it's not that there's a ton more jelly there from the preserves, but it's just a big chunk. All right.
Do you want me to hold it up? No.
No, because I got this now, so this works. That's why I was glad to. So we were trying to use this, the camera angle, Andy, when I was streaming with my friend Tracy, and the camera had frozen, and apparently because, you know, when the screen times out, it makes it freeze. So this is what it looks like. So edge to edge, crust to crust. Again, those darker areas, that's just pieces of apricot, but it's generally one layer, and looks good. So so I'm going to have you put this right there.
Okay.
The next thing I'm going to do. Oh, and by the way, you're preheating your oven to 375. Yep. It's been preheating. If you are using convection, like I'm using convection, you want to preheat it to, oh, hi Dad. So my dad just said that my grandfather made the pastry board. That's right. Actually, I did remember that, but I forgot to mention that. Thank you for saying that. So this pastry board is special, not just because my grandma used it for so many years, but my grandpa made it for her. And he made lots of things. He had a great workshop, didn't he, Dad? What do you remember some other things that he would make? Oh, I just got metal all over my pastry board. Oh, goodness. That's not good. Let me just wipe this up. That's awesome. All right, so I'm going to sprinkle some more flour, and I'm going to get this other part rolled out and make the crisscross. So this is the part that totally intimidated me the first time, but when I tell you, it actually, like, it is not. Can you just move my hair? It's right by my eye, and it's tickling, and it's driving me up a wall. No, just like go in and push against my, thank you, awesome. Whew, do you ever have that happen? And
yeah, I have it happen all the time.
You have it happen all the time? I bet you my dad has it happen all the time, right, Dad? You always have the hairs just like getting in your eyes, don't you? My dad's bald, so he's been lucky to have to not worry about that.
He shaves his head.
And he shaves his head now, yeah.
He actually has a just a full head of hair.
He had curls. Did you know he had curls when he was little? I think.
Who, me?
No, my dad.
No, I know.
Oh, did you know? Yeah, did you
Yeah.
know? Oh, you did. Okay.
I did.
So my hair, when I'm not straightening it, my hair is curly, and I get that from my mom, who also has lots of natural curl in her hair. I don't know if she still does, because I know with all of us, like as women, when we get older, our hair changes. But my hair wasn't curly to begin with. It kind of was something developed around puberty, which I know all crazy things developed during puberty, and for me, it was curly hair. And then it's interesting because my niece Bethany was telling me that her hair started changing. Her hair's always been very curly, and it's getting less curly, and that made her sad because she really, she has beautiful hair, and she's figured out how to like style it and how to do it. By the way, what I don't want you to be worried about with the Apricot Crisscross is the fact you do not need to make a perfect rectangle, and the reason is twofold. One reason is because you are going to be, I do want a little more stuff here though. One reason is that remember, you're just making long strips. And if you think about how long strips go across a rectangle, they're going to be all different lengths. So it's really about making that design on your crisscross, on your apricot layer, than about like making this and then recreating it over onto the side there. So just get it, get it thin enough. So you want it to be about as thin as your other one was. They should both be about the same thickness. And there's a little too much flour there, get that off.
So how thick is that?
I have no idea. I've never measured it. That's a really good question.
Maybe.
I don't know. I probably should. That would be a good thing, right?
Yeah.
I have no idea. Maybe Mom knows. Mom, do you know how like thick it is? I don't know. It's a really good question. I feel like generally you're making it you're making it similar to thickness to like a pie crust. So if you've made pie crust,
Right.
That's what.
It's pretty thin.
It's pretty thin. You don't want too thin, because like that's the good stuff.
But like, just.
Yeah. All right, so now, just seems a little thick down here. So now what I'm gonna do is now see, that's what happens. There we go. That's why you always gotta keep moving your crust so it doesn't get settled. Okay, now I'm gonna start making strips. So Andy washed this, thank you, Andy. And now what I'm gonna do here is I'm going to, and actually we're gonna need to bring that pan over. So I'm gonna put this right here, and I want them to see what I'm doing. So I'll move this over, right here. And that way you can all see.
Are you done with this? I'll just move it either way.
Sure. So, and I'm gonna put this over just a little bit more. All right, so I'm gonna take off an edge because I want to make sure I have that pretty design. So I'm gonna move that out of the way for my extra. And then, now this is a good question. Do we have like a ruler so we can actually measure this? Because I just make it about so thick, and I don't know how thick that is. I didn't even think about that. So I make it like, it's just a little less thick than my pinky. I have kind of small hands. And then this is literally what I do. I just find a good place I can put this. So I'm like, okay, that's a good length, and I just lay it across it. And so I'm gonna go, all parallel lines here, and then I'm gonna go crisscross, all parallel lines there, which makes me realize I do a crisscross. I don't go my crisscross that way. That's how I do it. And so this is the other thing. It doesn't have to even be so perfect. So like right here on this one I made, some parts are thicker than others, and that's okay. So let me see here. I'm gonna go straight I'm gonna save that one because I want a longer one to go in next. So then you're just cutting, and then you're gonna place. You're cut and place. So I'm gonna get these cut. In fact, I'm just gonna cut away, and then I will place. I think that'll make it go quicker for you all watching. But like I said, if you have a pizza cutter, you could be doing the same thing with a pizza cutter. And we're gonna just lay it across. Yeah, but how like thick are some of these? Oh, that's a terrible one. Wait, we have them in. That's better. No, that's better. What Matt did, because you can lay it across, but not on. That's dirty. Yeah, we don't want that right here. And I'm gonna actually do this here because it fits. And I'm gonna put one in between. Let's see if this one might be a little too short. Nope. Okay.
You want centimeters or you want inches?
Inches. You're such a pita.
It's about a quarter of an inch.
A quarter of an inch. That's probably what I would have guessed.
And I would say that that's about an eighth of an inch thick.
Okay.
Here.
So you heard the man. Quarter of an inch, eighth of an inch. All right, so I'm going to continue going. So as you're doing it, what you want to keep in mind is, like, here's some of my longest pieces. So I want to keep some of these to go the other way. So I'm just kind of going to get some done. So I'm just doing the strips. Oh, that one went a little thick, but that's okay, right? It's okay if it goes a little thick. Let's see if this one, I'm still looking for one for this. Let's see. Oh, this one will go perfect here. And then Andy, about how far apart am I putting these? Can you keep? Okay. I'm just gonna get some more in. Yeah, tell us how far apart I'm putting them. Like, how much space is between? What apricot space?
I'd say a third of an inch to a half of an inch. Probably a half of an inch.
Okay.
Somewhere in between.
And by the way, I'm looking at my little strips that I'm doing here, and you can see them too. They are not perfect by any stretch, but I'm telling you, once it all bakes, it really comes together. This is a nice little shorter one, so I'm going to try to use this one here.
So your dad said Grandpa made many things, including installing new copper piping in our house.
Wow. He was quite handy, wasn't he, Dad?
Well, that's where your dad got.
That's where my dad gets from. My dad was quite handy. And I think Grandpa also had a workshop, didn't he? I think he had, and I know you had a workshop too, Dad.
And in reality,
Oopsie.
you're quite handy too.
I get my handiness from my dad, for sure.
Me, on the other hand,
I wasn't going to say that.
not so much.
Well, you know, there's give and take in every relationship. So I kind of give the handiness, right?
That's correct.
So I'm known, now we're in a condo now that I guess we could still have things go wrong, but it's newer, thank goodness, so less is going to go wrong. But in both houses that we owned, you know, I was known to fix toilets, install ceiling fans. I'm trying to think of all the different things that I would do, but I was quite the little determined chickie.
You were very good at it. Very impressive.
You cheered me on, didn't you?
I did. Meant that I didn't have to do it.
Or pay for it. Even better, right?
Yeah, much better.
And I'm worried that that's going to fall on Carol as well. So Carol, I'm sorry. Because Matt was the one that was more intrigued with me being handy than David, my other son. Matt is the handier one, I would say.
I think David's...
He can be, if he
somewhat
puts his mind to it.
He's like me.
But Matt's more inquisitive about it.
If he tried, he's fine.
Yep, but Matt is definitely more inquisitive about it. So what I want to do is I want to show you then what I've done here for this first layer. Just a second. Okay, so the first layer, now I'm going to show you what I'm going to do next before I get my second layer. So the first layer, you can see that. We just go across about, what did you say, it was a third of an inch? Or?
Third of an inch to a half.
Yeah, it looks more like
inch.
a half inch to me.
Well,
actually looks a little more than that, but whatever.
It's not.
But then what I do is I'm just going to cut off the extra. Actually, I'm going to use my other knife so it doesn't get jammy. Did I get rid of my knife?
I can get you that one.
Nope, I have this one. We're good. I use this. I'm so grateful for little tools, right? So I'm just taking off the extra dough. And I'm going to put it there because I'm not wasting any dough. And I think for the stream purposes, Andy, is that we will, I can actually work on making the second one or the little family one while this bakes, you know?
Good.
And while we make some tea. So why are we going to have tea after this gets in the oven? I was telling you about that, Andrew. Remember why we're having tea after we put this in the oven?
I don't.
My grandma loved tea.
That's right.
She drank tea.
And yes, that's right.
And as a little girl, I did not like coffee. Whereas you actually...
I liked coffee when I was...
You liked coffee young.
Like 5 years old, I think I was.
I need you to do it again with my hair. Just take it, your fingers. Okay, thank you. Oh my goodness. Gosh, that's driving me crazy. Now I'm going to go the other way. All right. So I'm going to go longest part first, just so I make sure I have these long ones. and I'm just going crisscross. So we're making the crisscross now, which is fun. And there we go. And you put it about the same distance. I'm gonna put this one here. That's where it gets its name. But I actually, not only did I not like coffee young, but the smell of it would make me at times nauseous because as a little girl, and I've talked with a lot of 70s kids, you know, kids that grew up in the 70s, and when we would go on trips, we would take a lot of trips by car. And at that point, my mom was smoking, which I'm so glad she's not smoking anymore. But at that point she was, which so many people were, right, then. And my dad would have to have coffee to drive on the long trip. So when I'd get into the car with my mom's smoke and my dad's coffee, I felt so queasy. And Nancy and I talk about, we both would feel so queasy. And then I remember like my dad would stop off at wherever to get more coffee. And I was just like, no. So for the longest time, I was triggered, to be honest, with coffee. I really, it was a problem as far as where, like, how I felt about it. And then finally in college, so I didn't drink coffee in college. I tried it because actually,
That's amazing.
I know. I don't know how I stayed awake. But I didn't drink coffee in college. And in fact, Folgers at the time came to our college and did this like little, not test study, but they used us like as a sample. I went to Miami University in Ohio. Yay, Red Hawks. And don't you dare say anything. My husband went to another Ohio college that will not be named. No, I'm joking. He went to UC. It's a great school. I'm just teasing because I went to a different one. But they actually had all these different Folgers, and they were trying all their flavors of creamer, like not creamers, flavors of coffee maybe. I can't remember. I'll have to ask my college friends. But like, so they had these Folgers setups all over the campus, and even then I tried. I'm like, nope, not going to work. So I didn't start liking coffee until I tried the International Foods. Which is basically like sugar. I know. It's just a bunch of sugar. And it was
flavoring.
Yeah, and it was the International Foods French vanilla. And I remember the commercials. There was a commercial and there was a woman drinking it. And it was almost like she was taking a bubble bath, but she was having this International Foods coffee. It just looked so peaceful and like desirable. And I thought, oh, I need to try this. And I did, and I liked it. But then what happened was I realized I actually didn't mind the coffee flavor, but I needed copious amounts of sugar and milk or cream, which is not, of course, doesn't make it healthy. But then I kind of weaned myself off a bit, but I still do like milk in my coffee. Yep. I mean, I'll take cream, but I don't. I just use actually vitamin D milk, and that makes it feel like it's cream and not being as fatty. But I don't like a dark coffee. And my dad drinks dark coffee.
Your sister drinks dark coffee.
But she does like it not dark. I mean, she just does it to be good, and she's better at things like that than I am. I feel like she makes better health decisions than I do. So we're almost done.
That's really cool.
And I'm going to show you. So I'm just cutting off the edges again. All right, so here what I've done is I've laid it on top. So, oops, I have some extras. I can see those. See, that's why it's good. So who knows? If I hadn't have a camera, I wouldn't even know that I forgot to take those off. I just was trimming the edges, and then we are going to let this thing bake. Whoops. And you want to get there we go. So look at this. So we have it crisscross, and it doesn't look perfect. There's edges and everything, but when this bakes up, it is going to be great. All right, so can you open up the oven for me, sweetie? And we're going to put this in. Now, since it's convection, I'm putting this in for, close it. Can you press the 20 minutes timer? 20 minutes. For a regular oven, it would be 25 to 30 minutes. I'm going to check it at 20 because I want to check it early. And I'll peak even earlier than that because convection, it cooks sooner. So I'm going to actually take it off. I'm gonna wash my hands and take it off here. What's gonna happen while we're chatting and waiting for this to cook? I'm gonna make our little family crisscross. right?
You don't need this, right?
No, just put it right here.
I'll do it.
No, because you're not going to wash dishes. So
I know I'm not.
I was going to take it from you. Just going to take it from you. All right, so I'm going to move this. Let me change this. Go back to the camera scene. Okay, so we are making tea. I just want to make sure it's not up too high because we have one of those gooseneck. What is the? I don't know what they're called. They're pour over teapots. So what's nice is it gets to that perfect temperature for both pour over coffee or tea, and so you kind of have to watch it doesn't whistle. But what's nice is it has the gooseneck for the pour over, and the reason I got it was not for pour over, even though Matt now has a pour over because he's into coffee. I got it because I wanted it as to be a watering my plants. I wanted it, and I didn't want to have to get both. We're in a condo. We don't need extra stuff. So I just wanted something that could be multi-purpose. But I'm going to bring over some tea before I finish these. So we're going to have tea. My grandma loved tea. As a young girl, I remember being able to have tea. My mom would let me have tea. And now, Dad, you can tell me because I'm remembering things wrong. So I thought it was Grandma who got me to put milk in my tea, but it might have been you and Mom. Oh, wait, he put something.
It says Grandma used her pastry ruler to make sure all dimensions were consistent.
Grandma was the best. I'm sure. So I don't have a pastry ruler. I don't need a pastry ruler, I will say, because I probably wouldn't use it.
Christmas idea.
No, I don't, because then I'm going to, okay. So, but I will say if it makes me bow all the more to my grandma for all that she did. So I'm sure she did use a pastry roller. So Dad, I don't remember who got me to put milk in my tea, but I know not all my friends put milk in their tea or even thought of doing that. So I feel like it was Grandma, but maybe it was not. So I like tea. I do enjoy tea. So one of my favorites is English breakfast tea. And then this is an Earl Grey tea. An Earl Grey tea. My latest that I also really like is Lady Grey, which I didn't know there was such a thing. But there's a tea that my sister got me on, and it is the bomb. And it is, I'm gonna bring it over.
What?
It is hot cinnamon tea. Now, one of my favorite things is cinnamon. So tell me if you can see this. Can you see it?
Yeah.
You see it?
Yep.
Okay, so it's Harney and Sons hot cinnamon spice tea. And my sister got me on it when we were visiting. And if you like red hots or just cinnamon, this is, so it's not too hot, but it is spicy, but in a good way.
Yeah, it's not.
And it is delicious. So that's what I'm gonna have. What kind of tea do you want?
I'll take that.
Yep. So will you mind putting those in?
Yep.
So now I will not put milk in that tea, but like in a typical black tea, I like putting milk in. So while he's doing that, I'm going to get this ready to put in the oven afterwards, and I'm going to just use a little, I don't have a big thing, so I'm just going to use a little pan to do that.
Shelby thinks it's a treat.
Oh, I'm sure she does. She hopes it's for her.
It's tea.
But so I love coffee, but I also love tea. And tea's nice because it doesn't have as much caffeine. So sometimes I don't want that caffeine. Now in the morning, as we know in my household, I always need that coffee. So we always want Mama to have her coffee.
There's
morning.
one rule in the house that there's no conversing with Amy until the coffee has been consumed.
One does not talk to me until I've had my coffee.
Because there is.
I mean, you
bad
can. You can
things that
try. Like, no one's going to arrest you if you do. I just might not be very friendly, right?
So we are very different. So when I wake up in the morning, my mind instantly goes. So I can have
0 to 60.
0 to 60, and then I'll do that every once in a while, and she basically gives me the death eye.
Like you've said way too much, and I'm not answering that question.
And I need to just
back off.
Back off.
Yeah. I'm not the friendliest person. I mean, I think I'm friendly as long as people just give me a little space to kind of wake up, and then I'm friendly. So this is making me think of memories when I was going to college. There's a friend of mine, Jackie, who is just like you. She's a total morning person, and she would get up well before I would get up, and I would stumble. And that's when it was freshman year, we all had to share like a big old bathroom, like one that had like literally 8 stalls, and 6 showers and, 8 sinks. And I would go in and Jackie was already almost ready. And she would just be like, "Good morning, Amy Jo." And she would sing the song, get up, the sun is up, the dew is on the buttercup, get up. And I would glare at her because remember, I wasn't drinking coffee yet. So I had no help in the morning. It was just me, and that was not going well. So, yes. Oh, Dad. So my dad said, "Do you remember Grandma saving her tea bag she used twice?" I do. In fact,
That's what,
we were talking about that because my grandparents, they were there for the Great Depression. And so I also think Dad, didn't she also wash her foil or rinse out baggies? I was thinking that she might have done that as well. See if you remember.
kids who grew up in the Depression.
Yeah.
That was
it's just,
waste
that
not
sticks
wanting,
with
right?
you. Absolutely. She would dry out her tea bags and get another use out of them. Very resourceful. All right, so I'm just making our little family one right now, and I'm going to put a little bit of apricot jam on the bottom. Waste not, want not. Right, Andy?
Yep.
Let's see if I think that's enough. I think that's enough. But yes, I'm trying to think if there were anything else that they, did as a result of going through that time. That was just a tough time. That was a tough time in our country.
Yes, it was.
To have to survive and get past. But yes, I do remember that, Dad. I absolutely remember that she would do that with the tea bags. She would save them. Do you know what I did with the thinger? Did I put it in there?
What thinger would that
The crisscross cutter thing. Oh, there it is. Yep. Found it. All right, so I'm making my little one, and all I'm doing right now is I'm just going to cut, and honestly, I just want this pastry to be on this yummy little family crisscross I'm making so that we don't waste any of the yumminess. Because if you're going to make it, and this is not going to be pretty, but that's okay because this is the family one, so it can be not pretty. It can be has some little chubby ones, and it's going to taste good. You're exactly right. Okay, and I'll put this here. There we go. Okay. How's the tea going there?
It is gone.
Good.
It's poured.
I spilled water.
You spilled? No way. Look, see, this is coming kind of cute. A nice, cute little family crisscross.
Like an apricot crisscross.
Yeah. How cute is that? Adorable. That's adorable. And I'll put that in because I'll put it on another.
Can I eat this?
Of course. I'll put this on another shelf because when you cook convection, that's one of the great things about cooking convection, by the way. And let's see when I put that in.
God, does that smell good?
Doesn't it smell good? Is when you cook convection, you can put multiple trays in because the air is always moving and it's cooking. It cooks things. It keeps a constant temperature.
So your dad said, yes, she would save foil, bread bags, and plastic wrap and use multiple times.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
It's that generation.
It is that generation. And I will say now when I think about, I wish we all kind of had continued to do that because, now just with the single-use plastics and all the waste we have, we'd be behooved to probably do more of that, So I'm just going to move this out of the way so that when they're done, we can get them out. So I'm just going to scooch this.
That's good. What are you doing?
I'm putting this here so that we'll have a place to put the pan when they're done.
Oh. I wish I could explain how good it smells in here right now.
Oh, what's better yet is how good it's going to taste in there.
I don't remember
Oh my
how good they
gosh,
smell.
Absolutely. Well, pastry smells good. And that we didn't use, so I can put that away. And this I didn't use, but I got apricot on it. So just do a little mini cleanup so we can put the yummy stuff here once it comes out of the oven. So Andy is kind of new to the tea train. You've been drinking more tea lately. What's your favorite tea?
Well, I like all the ones you mentioned, the Lady Grey, the Earl Grey. I'm not a big fan of English breakfast.
Oh, I love English breakfast, yeah.
and I love this cinnamon, but I like green tea too, which I know you're not a huge
Well,
fan
I
of
like
green
it.
tea.
I love green tea actually for iced tea. I'm just not a fan of green tea for hot tea.
Yeah, I like it for hot also.
I actually remember, green tea with lemon and honey for iced tea.
Yeah.
Turkey Hill even did one that we used
Turkey Hill
to
makes actually a good green tea.
put. Do you want any sugar in here?
I'll get my own.
Okay. I'll use the spoon then afterwards.
No, I'll get another spoon.
Okay, get another spoon. All right, so, oh my gosh. The tea smells good. The apricot crisscross smells good. Yeah, I mean, for hot tea, I tend to like a dark tea. I've tried the herbal, and they're fine. Actually,
You like a tea that you get at like a Chinese restaurant or
yeah, and that's a kind of
it's an oolong, right?
oolong, I think. But what's funny
I grew
is
up drinking that as a
for
kid.
iced tea, I love herbal mixed with like a black tea.
Yeah.
And actually, I've drank frankly herbal iced teas. So you have to let me know what your favorite teas are, because Dad drinks tea. How about you, Dad? Do you like fancy iced teas, or do you just like your standard iced tea?
You know why I didn't like tea for a while? Because when I was sick as a kid, I have no idea why this would happen, but my mom would bring up tea, and we'd have to drink tea. So it was that Lipton tea.
That's what I grew up
and
on.
it just gave me. That's what every time I think of tea, I thought of being sick. So I just didn't.
Well, it's funny. I loved iced tea. In fact, my mom, as soon as you were sick, she would make homemade, homemade iced tea. But she'd get the Lipton out, and she would brew some tea for iced tea, and that was actually what we would drink. That and ginger ale were probably the big drinks when we were sick. And Mom,
Ginger ale.
Why? I wonder, what was the tea thing? I know tea has medicinal properties at times, so why? Oh, sweet tea. Yes. My parents are in Florida, so the sweet tea. But ask Mom why we used to. I know why the ginger ale, because I think even though ginger ale doesn't really have, I think, any ginger in it, but the ginger properties, I think it might just be flavor,
Ginger flavor.
yeah, but produced flavor. But anyways, but we did do tea. But I'm just wondering, because I feel like you mentioned that, and that's what I experienced.
Yeah, it was.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, is it so good?
Reminds me of being sick.
I'm going to put this down and out of the way so we don't have
So
that.
how's it look?
Oh, not brown enough. And see, I just opened it up, so. It needs to be brown. You don't want it dark. Oh, I'm out of the thing. You don't want it dark brown, but you want it light brown. You definitely, because you want it to be flaky. And if it doesn't have a little color, it's not going to have the flakiness. So again, not dark brown, but you want it lightly browned.
Good tea.
So it's good tea.
So what's your favorite pastry, Amy? Did we talk about that?
No, we haven't talked about that. I think croissants have got to be up there.
Wow.
So we have great
You're a
bakeries. We have two French bakeries. Wait, is it just two? We have two French bakeries, a few.
actually three.
Do we have three?
Yeah, it starts.
So we have three French bakeries in close walking distance, and it is. I don't have a croissant all the time, but I could. And actually, once I get over the fact that I need to not have it all the time, I realize that what's also nice is knowing that I could. And they, to me, croissants are just amazing. Yeah, I love croissants, but I love lots of pastries. I love pastries. I love that whole flaky dough thing. I love puff pastry. I love phyllo.
Yeah.
I like flakes. I'm a flake.
You're a little flaky.
I'm a flaky.
So speaking of French,
Yes. Oh, tonight. I don't think we'll have croissants tonight, though.
I do not.
I'm sure they won't be serving
I'm
them.
sure they will not.
So yeah, tell what we're doing tonight.
So for Amy's
Birthday.
29th birthday,
Travel around the sun another year.
a couple times. We're going to a place called Laurel down, I guess
It's in South Philly.
It's really in South Philly.
Yeah.
But it's kind of American French place.
I think it's French.
Well, it's American French. That's how they.
Oh, they said
actually
it?
define
Oh, okay.
But
Okay.
so it's a fixed price menu. I think 6 courses, right? So yeah, it's looking forward to it. It's supposed to be
Yes.
great. You can do a wine pairing with it, and
I
then
think
you
we're
can
gonna
take
do
a
that,
second
right?
mortgage out on the house after
Oh,
you do
no.
it.
It's definitely a special occasion place, but I'm super excited about doing that. And we'll let you know when we do
Yeah.
our stream this week. You're making Negronis this week, right?
That's right.
Right. So we'll
Yeah.
talk about how the dinner was
always forget.
on Tuesday night when we do Negronis. But by the way, my dad, so he said mom only remembers ginger ale. There definitely was ginger ale, but I also remember, and maybe what I'm wondering, Mom, is it might have been just because we liked iced tea that maybe you just, you were like, is there anything that really sounds good to drink? And iced tea was one of the things, because I remember having a lot of ginger ale, but I remember having a lot of iced tea.
So Mom likes
well.
Lady Locks.
Oh
What's
my
a Lady
gosh.
Lock?
So Lady Lock is a very flaky pastry that it kind of like it almost goes around like a swirl, but the pastry all sticks together and there's a hole in the middle and it's filled with I'm sure we won't be the only ones there.
Yeah.
And it's filled with pastry cream. Like it's like really rich cream. Like not what's the thing called? What's the donut I don't really care for? Not Boston cream.
Boston
Like it's pastry cream. It's the stiff pastry cream. There is so much sugar in that. And I remember we would go to the mall and there was a place where we lived in Ohio at the mall that had the Lady Locks, and Mom would look to see if they had any left and she'd bring them down, and of course she'd bring them home and then we could have one too. And Mom would just have it for a meal. Like she's fine, like she loves sweets. She's fine having that be her meal, or having, like, if we go to an ice cream place, have ice cream be her meal.
We've done that.
Not as my meal, like
Yes, we
as
did.
a snack. As a snack.
We did it as when I remember you and I specifically went up to that place. Was it Good Nose or?
Yeah, but it
And
wasn't.
we had Sundays for lunch.
We did not
We
just
did.
have that. No, we didn't, because I need my protein. I need some.
We had
Okay.
that. I'm telling you.
All right, whatever you say,
Oh,
dear. But yeah, she loves the Lady Locks. Okay.
We're getting close.
Let's see. Oh, they are close. They are close. They're almost ready.
So how long will do we have to keep the other one in there for the full?
Yeah. It might get done a little sooner because it's on a different kind of pan.
Right. It looks like it's
Yeah, it's looking pretty done.
getting close.
Cream filled donuts. Is that your favorite, Dad? The cream filled donuts? I forgot about that. Cream filled is yummy. There was a place where we lived in Mount Laurel, that Randolph's Bakery, that had the best cream filled donuts. Remember those, Mom and Dad?
There was a couple good places. There was one down in
Randolph's is my favorite.
Randolph's.
McMillan's makes
McMillan's
decent ones.
Made a good one. Made a really good one.
I had Stock's, which is in Philly, Stock's cream filled donuts the other day, and they were delicious.
And they're known for the.
They're known for
Carol used to get the bread. It's like a
pound cake.
pound cake.
Yeah, they're known for pound cake. And I
It's
think
really good pound
these are almost ready. Almost. Now that I've let air out like 5 times now.
Yeah, it's like
That's the curse of cooking. You never want to
it's 100 degrees.
let that out. Yes.
It's about 100 degrees.
Oh, my mom just said this is Mom next to my dad's name. So, okay. All right. Doesn't matter. It's to me, I feel like I'm talking to both you guys, Mom.
You're interchangeable.
You're the part of a partnership. So, all right. So I'm going to get the original ones out. And the other ones are going to stay in for a little longer. I'll show you what these look perfect. Oh, I want to set this timer. Let's see. I'm going to check in 5 minutes just to make sure. Okay. All right. Let me move my tea.
You're gonna hold it up, let people see it.
I am. Then I'm going to switch my camera view. All right. So let me switch that. So you can see this yumminess. So it's kind of hard to see, but it's lightly browned, and it looks crispy. It looks phenomenal, okay? So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this out. I'm gonna have you go over
Do you
here.
remember who made that?
Yes, you know who made this? My son David made this. He made it in woodworking when he was in high school.
Like 9th grade or something.
Yeah. Let me see how this is gonna go. Okay, I'm gonna use my little spatula.
If you need me to do it.
What's your favorite pastry, by the way, Mr. A? All right.
I love cream-filled donuts. I agree.
Is that your favorite?
I agree with that. Was it like the pecan rolls? I love.
Oh,
I love
God,
that.
those pecan rolls are amazing.
Yeah, I'm a big fan
Pecan
of
rolls
those.
are delicious.
Bear claws, that type of stuff.
Look at that. My gosh, it looks so good. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, so do not do what I just did, by the way. It doesn't look lightly brown, but it is, I assure you, it is lightly brown. I'm sorry it doesn't come off, but it definitely is lightly brown. And what was I going to say? So what I'm going to do is, because I want us to try it here, but not burn our mouths on the hot apricot jam, so I'm giving it a little time, is I took it out of the pan. Never do that, like let it cool in the pan, but I'm just doing it so that we can get a piece off and try it. And the other thing I do is you'll let this completely cool. You'll keep it in the pan, let it completely cool. Then you'll take it out and you'll cut it. And then when you're about to serve it, I would recommend sprinkling powdered sugar on top. Don't do it before for a couple of reasons. One, it'll absorb in and you won't be able to see it later. So it'll take away the fancify pretty little thing that it does when you put powdered sugar on things. But the other reason is that it actually, and I've read this on articles, is the sugar also makes things less crispy, like having that on. So it's like a double reason. So I'm going to get plates.
So that's why with cannolis, they don't sprinkle the powdered sugar on.
That's right.
They fill it and then they sprinkle it on before they give it to you. That's what they should do.
That's right.
So you know what I think the problem is, because your mom's right. They don't look light brown on the screen,
'Cause it's the webcam,
but they are here.
Right.
But I bet you if you just kind of put that one on after you cut that.
Yeah, but
you can see it.
the thing is that this is not as good of a camera,
Right.
so it doesn't catch the colors. Remember we noticed that with the hooshki.
Right. Yep.
So
But it really
that's
is.
the thing, because
it's
this is the camera that gets most of us is a better camera. And I'm also going to get a knife because I want this to be done well. All right, so I'm just going to cut us a piece.
Should I get the boy?
No, remember he
Oh, yeah.
so I'm going to cut us a piece, and I'm going to put some powdered sugar on ours. So again, this is going to be a little warm, so that's why I'm taking my time cutting it, because I'm a little worried about it. About burning our.
We won't taste anything tonight. Taste buds are going to be scorched off.
And then now you can make it rain with your confectioner's sugar. Where did I put that? You can make it rain just putting it in one of these little sieves. But I actually have one of these because I use it when I make the Dutch babies. I like to have my confectioner's sugar always handy, so you can see it has a little screen there. And I'm going to just make it rain on top. You can see how pretty. And then I'll change the camera view. You can see how pretty. All right, so let me change the camera view. Okay, so be careful.
You can see it even looks more brown.
Yeah, I'm not bringing this over because I'm afraid it's going to fall.
No,
so
no,
I'd
just
rather. Yeah, you can actually see the brownness. You're right. From that camera, you can see more of the color from there. The webcam just
I'm
doesn't
not going
show
to move
as
it.
well.
I'm just
Oh
going to
my
hold
goodness,
it
it can slide so easily.
up. I know. See?
Okay, you're making me nervous. All right. Okay, we're going to turn that off. So be careful. Let's give her a try. Oh. Mmm. That's really yummy.
Oh, that's really good.
Mm-hmm. Ooh, that's a little hot. It's a little warm,
A little warm.
but very good. Very yummy. And so,
Awesome.
Mom and Dad, when we see you in a few weeks, we're going to, or not we, but Nancy and I, I'm going to bring the Apricot Crisscross down, and we are going to enjoy them during our visit. So friends, I need to talk about what's coming up. I need this. So as we mentioned on Tuesday, we're going to do our cocktail stream. Andy is going to be making Negroni, which is another one of his favorite drinks. That's at 7:30 on Tuesday. And then next weekend, on Sunday, I'm streaming with my niece, Bethany. And we're hoping this works. We are going to be, she's going to be joining via Zoom. And we are going to, I'm not sure what the menu is going to be yet, but she's vegetarian, so it'll be something vegetarian. So as soon as I get those details, I will put it on Twitter. So if you like these recipes, if you like the streams, please be sure to like the video, like the stream, and also subscribe so you can be aware of any new things that are dropping. And also follow me on Twitter to find out, about details, recipes, all of the goods for upcoming content. So I'm really looking forward to next weekend. So I hope that all the tech works.
It will.
Right? Yeah. So
it'll be
anyways,
okay.
so thank you for joining us. Please let me know if you try this recipe. You can put it in the comments below later. You can come back to the video. We'd love to hear if you tried it. Enjoy, and until we eat again, have a great rest of your weekend.
Goodbye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.